fan podcast where we get a chance to geek out about our favorite animated media. And Emma and I are back with another top 10 list.
Oh, yeah.
And not just any top 10 list, because this is coming out on Valentine's Day. Ooh. Does everyone have their crush, their significant other in mind?
Their anime boyfriend in mind?
Hey! Hey, anime boyfriend, how are you? Listen, we have talked a lot about romance anime on this podcast. You can go back and look at the many, many things Emma and I have discussed. And so you could say we are just like connoisseurs of romance anime.
We like to think so anyway.
Yes. We have acquired taste for our favorites in romance dramas, in rom-coms, in it all. So
oh yeah,
there's a lot out there that we love. And so we thought this is the perfect opportunity, since this is coming out on exactly February 14th, that we can talk about all of our favorites in one episode.
How good is that?
Look at that.
All the romance.
All the romance, all the time. And so this will just be like a fun top 10 list discussion. This will be a non-spoiler episode, so we will talk a lot about why we like these shows, why they're on our list, what's so great about them. But it's okay if you haven't seen everything. We will not spoil it. Think of this as like a whole bunch of recommendations for you if you haven't.
Yeah, it's like a little preview night of what romance anime you could be watching.
Exactly. And of course, you can, in your head, be telling us, why did you not choose this other thing that you really love? And in that case, you'll need to
recommend it to us.
Yeah, please.
I'm always up for another romance anime.
Yes. So leave like a rating and review. Leave a comment there. We're on Instagram at FanimatedPodcast, or even just email us at fanimatedpodcast@gmail.com to let us know what we missed in our lists, because we definitely want those recommendations. I've gotten some really great recommendations from listeners over the years, and thank you to those people. You know who you are. Changed my life. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit different of a top 10 episode, because we realized when we were thinking about doing this episode that our top 10 lists would probably look really identical.
Yeah, they'd probably be the same, because Kelly and I love a lot of the same things, especially when it comes to romance anime.
Yes, and so I'm stealing a page from another podcast book. If you've heard of Banter, I Hardly Know Her, that's where I got this idea. So thank you, Wes and Perry. Please go listen to their podcast. I've been on their podcast. They've been on mine. They're great, super fun. And what they do often are these drafts of like their favorite Disney songs or their favorite
Disney characters. Like they put the Disney characters in the Hunger Games, basically.
Oh yeah, that was a great episode. Yeah. And so I'm taking that idea, and that's what we're going to do today. So we have our lists of all of our favorites, but we're going to take turns choosing our titles, and we cannot repeat titles that one of us has already said. So that'll kind of force us to have a more diverse top 10 list, and so we can talk about 20 awesome anime instead of just 10. The other rule we have is that we decided to include films in this list. Again, they are still anime, Japanese films, but we wanted to include that because there's a lot of films that we love as well.
Absolutely.
So these will be both films and TV series that are our favorite romance anime.
Buckle in, it's going to be fun!
Woo! All right, to choose who goes first, Emma and I are just going to rock, paper, scissors this out. So, ready?
Best out of 3.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
We keep choosing the same one. Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Okay.
Gotcha on that one.
Emma.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Gotcha.
All right. Emma got it. Emma's got it. Emma gets to lead this mess. Okay.
All right. So do I just go ahead?
You go ahead. What is your first pick of this romance anime draft?
Okay, for this romance anime draft, we are starting on a more somber or dramatic note.
Ooh.
And this was so hard to pick my first one because, oh my gosh, you will understand when we list off our favorites. But I decided to go with A Silent Voice.
Oh, okay.
Because, oh man. Yeah, are you disappointed?
I am crossing that off my list. You stole it. It's okay.
A Silent Voice has just touched me personally. So it has a big place in my heart. For those of you who don't know, we do have an episode about it. But basically, young deaf girl bullied by young boy. And when the girl moves schools, then the boy is bullied. And when they grow up as high schoolers, they meet again. And it's all about them reconciling. And then, yeah, they fall for each other in the end as well. And what I really love about this one is it's such a matter of the heart. Like, both of these characters are really going through a lot of change and growing together. But I also just love stories about reconciliation when two people are going on a healing journey together, especially when it's such a traumatic past that they have with the bullying. It's very, like, it hits you very hard at the beginning because you're like, oh, wow, this is, like, extreme bullying. This is not okay. And so it's just really powerful, honestly. And so it gets me, and it's beautiful, and I love them so much. It's good.
I absolutely agree. It's really gut wrenching. It's heart wrenching. Check out like a trigger warning page for all of the different kinds of situations that might be present if you need to check for trigger warnings. But I also don't want to say them now because it's a spoiler.
Right.
But bullying for sure is on that trigger warning list. A Silent Voice is not only like beautifully animated, but it's just like perfectly like written. It's just like formulated so well, and it uses the animated medium to its advantage to try to portray the social anxiety and depression and other mental health issues in a way that's like visually represented really well.
Mm-hmm. And I also love how, because it touches on all these different subjects, the love story just feels more real. Obviously, there's going to be some things that are like very stereotypical to like high school anime in some ways, but overall, like, these are real people.
Yeah.
And so that's also a really beautiful part of it.
So if you want to hear more about A Silent Voice, you can listen to Fanimated episode 27, where we talk about it in depth.
And we might cry.
Yes.
I can't remember if we cried in that one or not. I might have, but
Emma and I cry in a lot of our episodes.
We do. We are moved in very powerful ways.
Yes. So A Silent Voice, excellent choice.
Thank you.
Excellent first choice. And that means I get to choose your name.
Oh, I knew it. That was the one that I was like struggling between because it's just so good.
Your name is easily at the very top of my list. Your name is Makoto Shinkai Film. If you watch anime at all, you've heard of it. It follows the story of a high school boy who lives in Tokyo and a high school girl who lives out in the country. And it's kind of, I guess this is kind of the premise, so I hope it's not like a spoiler, but like it's kind of a Freaky Friday scenario in which they're switching bodies. And so they're like living each other's lives sometimes and like getting to know each other in that kind of roundabout way. But not only is this just like hilarious and visually absolutely stunning, the music hits you perfectly, but then it hits these beats throughout the movie that like completely wrecked me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We have so much to say about Your Name. Like, I feel like no matter what, I could go on and on about that movie every time we talk about it.
Oh, yes.
Because there's just always so much to dive into. It's such a complex film. And I think that's why I love the romance so much, is because it's not just your classic timeline of a romance, but you have just so many different layers going on, and not to mention it's just gorgeous, and music is gorgeous and all that.
Yeah, it is just a beautiful film. The romance is so good. Like, I don't know.
It's so good.
Like, it is funny and it's dramatic and it just like hits all of these different notes. You're on a roller coaster with this film, and it is a wild ride. It's fantastic. This is a great movie as well as like a gateway anime for people who haven't watched a lot of anime. Like, everyone loves this film. So I had to have it as my first choice.
Yeah, not surprised there.
All right, Nima, what you got?
Okay, for my number 2 choice in the draft, I am choosing the anime Fruits Basket.
Yeah, saw that coming. I'll cross that off my list. Okay.
I mean, where would I be in this world without Fruits Basket? Let's be honest. Like, that show, as we've talked about a million times, is beautiful in every way. Like, I love the emotional journey that we get to see all of these characters go on. So just for point of reference, it's about this Soma family. They're possessed with the zodiac spirits, so they turn into their animal depending on which spirit they are. And Toru, a human, well, they're all human, but the Toru, regular human, comes into their lives and changes them for the better. And there's a lot of emotional healing and healing from trauma that goes on. It's just so deep and beautiful. And the romance is just, beyond wonderful. Like, just the development of the characters. And once again, it's another story about, like, characters growing through a healing process and, like, finding love for one another in, like, learning how to live life. And that's just beautiful.
It's beautiful. Fruits Basket is one of our favorite shows of all time. You can hear us geek out about it on episode 15 for the original Fruits Basket and episode 110 for the 2019 reboot. And why I put it on like my list is that not only is it just fantastic, right? But also as a romance anime, like, it has so much more than that. And you have so many different romances to root for.
Oh, absolutely. And you get closure. It's great.
Yes. It's a completed show. Like, not all of these on our list are going to be completed stories, like in animated form at least. And so it's so satisfying to actually have an ending.
Yeah. I mean, granted, sometimes it's wonderful to kind of have a little like cliffhanger of like, we'll see, I wonder where this story's going to go. But we get enough of that with anime that it's so nice to actually have a conclusion of like, oh, look at them and their fruitful relationship. And
yes, I love it. And I should say too, I didn't say this before, we talk about Your Name on Fanimated episode 41 if you want to hear us geek out about that one for a long time. Excellent, Emma. Fruits Basket is iconic. I will follow up with another series we both absolutely adore, and that's Snow White with the red hair.
Oh, I saw that one coming. Checking that one off my list.
Oh man, Snow White with the red hair is one of my top tier favorite anime of all time. Favorite comfort anime. Yeah. Man, I like want to rewatch it right now just thinking about it.
I just already have the soundtrack playing in my head.
Oh, yes. And it's a fantasy that's loosely based off of Snow White, not really, in which a young herbologist or pharmacist, Shirayuki, is basically for circumstances runs away from her home city and runs into a prince of another kingdom, a neighboring kingdom. And of course they develop a friendship and something more. And it's a really beautiful, like, I almost want to categorize it as like a slice of life-y almost, except in a fantasy setting and a romance, and there's like other things going on, but none of it, like there's enough going on where you're intrigued, but not so much that you're anxious about it.
Right.
That's what I love about it.
You get to see the downtime of the castle life.
And you just fall in love with all of these characters. Like, each and every one of them are my family, and I adore them so much.
Yes.
So, yeah, and I love the manga. It's one of the few manga that I read, and I love it so much. I cannot... also, like, just talking about romance anime, right? Again, we talk about this all in episode 90 of Fanimated, so go back and listen to that. But I just want to reiterate that this show has, I think, one of the healthiest examples of a relationship in media, period.
Boom.
It's beautiful, it's mature, but not like in a rated PG-13. I mean, like, they are just
like
mature
they have
characters.
Boundaries, and they have
they
like
communicate.
goals, and they communicate.
And they help each other literally become better people.
Exactly.
And it blows me away every time, and I love them. So
yes.
That's it. That's Snow White.
I love Snow White with the red hair. Oh, that's a great comfort anime too, if you're just like, I just want to feel cozy and watch people hang around at the castle and do their jobs.
Oh, it's so lovely.
All right. Going on to my third choice for the draft. I'm going with Violet Evergarden, the movie.
Oh.
The one that just recently came out.
Oh, so good.
I wasn't sure if I was going to choose Violet Evergarden because while it is about a love story, it's more drama heavy than anything. But the last movie that came out really just was so powerful. I was bawling. Like,
Me too.
Oh my gosh, in tears the half of the time. And in this particular case, Violet Evergarden, who is a doll, meaning she is tasked to write letters for people who need letters written, like maybe they can't write. And as she goes around to different people, like meeting new people, she's trying to figure out what does it mean, or what does love mean, because she was raised in a way as a machine, basically. So she doesn't comprehend emotion very well, but she's been growing and learning, and she keeps thinking back to the Major, and because he is the one who took care of her when she was in the army, and she knows she heard the word love, but she wasn't sure what it meant, so she's been trying to figure out what that means. And so this movie finally kind of tied some loose ends for the audience who've been following Violet Evergarden. And I don't know, it's a good reflection on what love is, because love is a word that can be tossed around so much, and I really feel that this movie brought a lot of depth to that word, and so it was just so emotional and beautiful. I loved it.
It's an absolute wild ride. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and cross Violet Evergarden off my list, even though I was thinking about this series, just to say that, like, okay, we're done with Violet Evergarden. But even the series, like, it doesn't explicitly have Violet and the Major together very much, but the whole series is exploring that, like, what is love? Like, Violet's just trying to, like, basically define that for herself and try to understand it through a series of understanding how, like, seeing love through other people, and all these different forms love can take. And that's why it absolutely deserves, like, the series and the movie, like, deserves a place on these lists, because, like, this is the, like, this definition of romance. Like, it's trying to define what love is. So, oh my goodness, so phenomenal. This is definitely one that we haven't done a full episode on, and I would love to at some point, because wow, it's phenomenal. And it does have, like, a full structure. It has an ending. It comes full circle.
Right.
I can't recommend it enough.
It's beautiful. I feel like all of my recommendations on my draft so far have been criers, but hey, if you love a movie that makes you cry, here you go.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm having a hard time choosing my next one. Because I want to make sure, I'm like, which one is Emma going to choose?
I know.
Because I want to make sure I get some of these away from you. And I think this one is a pretty controversial one, but maybe on both of our lists. I'm going to go with From Up on Poppy Hill.
Aww. Classic.
From Up on Poppy Hill is a Studio Ghibli film, and I even hesitate having it on my list because, like, is it a romance anime?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Good.
It is. It counts.
I think what I love about the romance is it's showing, like, just this beauty and this, like, connection of people in the small things. It's like these two people are developing a relationship. Granted, they're in high school, and I'm totally skipping the synopsis, but it's like the 1960s. These two high school students are part of just trying to save this clubhouse that's a part of the high school, and in doing that, they're also, like, developing feelings for each other, and another mystery emerges, and they have to tackle that together. And so, like, we've talked about this film on episode 94. So definitely, like, go back and listen to that. And I know I'm repeating myself when I say that this was our Your Name before Your Name.
It's true. It's true. The fated lovers who have a tragic moment. Mm-hmm. So you gotta love it. Exactly.
There's the plot twist. There's just, like, the roller coaster ride of From Up on Poppy Hill. And this one, too, just makes me feel... I mean, it's Studio Ghibli, so it just makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. And it's, like, so many moments where I'm like, I want to eat this animated food.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. And their romance isn't as, like, big or grand or, like, crazy as some of these other ones on my list. But, like, again, it's, like... It's small and quiet and beautiful.
Yeah.
Like a poppy.
That's why I love it. Because it's so simple. Like, it makes you feel like, oh, these are people living their everyday lives. And isn't that something we can relate to rather than this big, grand romance, right?
Exactly.
So I love that film so much. Very good choice.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, number 4. Oh, God.
It's getting harder to choose, isn't it?
You're probably going to be mad. Weathering with You.
Dang it. Oh, I'll cross it off. Fine.
Because I couldn't have Your Name.
Yeah, that's true. You can have a Makoto Shinkai film,
I needed a Makoto Shinkai film. So, Weathering with You is the next film after Your Name. And it is just as beautiful as Your Name, if not even a little bit more. I mean, that fireworks scene, let's be honest. But Weathering with You follows this young man who is running away from home, trying to live a life in Tokyo, and ends up meeting a girl who can pray for the weather to get better because currently it's constantly raining in Japan. They continue to... by creating a business together in which she will pray for different events and they get a little cash or some prizes or whatever. But eventually, like, she is running into some trouble with her powers. And so it's a matter of, do I choose to continue with the goddess powers, or do I let Japan just continue to rain and rain and rain until it's underwater? So once again, another fascinating take at a romance. Thank you, Makoto. Because, like, what I love about his films is that you have romance that is beautiful, yes, but the plot line, like, leading up to it is so, like, complex, and he throws in these plot twists that I don't see coming. Like, I know that's the point of a plot twist, but I feel like we've been so accustomed to plot twists that we're like, oh, yep, it's predictable. But the choices he makes, I'm like, oh my gosh, I did not see that coming, or I didn't think about that before. Like, just a very questioning movie for me. And so it was just beautiful romance, and these kids they just care so much for each other, especially since they're both coming from places where they're not living with parents, so they're just trying to fight for survival on their own. So they really have this intimate bond with each other, which is really sweet.
Yeah, they're both like, you know, coming from very unstable backgrounds, and so they're both like, you know, trying to find that stability and in life. And it's a coming of age story too, like a lot of these are, and like they're just trying to find their place in the world. And again, like, it's really hard. I change my mind every other day of like, what's my favorite Makoto Shinkai film? Because like, I'm like, I feel like it's Weathering with You a lot of days, like most days, because like, and it's so hard to choose between that and Your Name, but yeah, they're just both so gorgeous and so beautiful. So please listen to episode 69 of the podcast. It's one of my favorite episodes that Emma and I ever recorded, talking about Weathering with You, and just like doing what I love to do on this podcast, discovering new things as we talk about it. And Weathering with You just has so many things to discuss and to like peel away and to understand. So like, if you have not watched that film, please do. I mean, just add all the Makoto Shinkai films to your list. I don't know what you're doing. Yeah,
I definitely cried on that episode. But, you know, pretty soon, Kelly, we're going to have 3 movies to debate as to whether, like, which one's the better, right?
Suzume comes out in April.
So excited.
I'm so excited, too. So, you know, in the future, maybe Suzume would have been on our list as well.
It's true. We'll never know.
You will know in the future if you're listening. If you're listening to this in the future and you've seen it. Looking forward to that. All right, so now it's time for my number 4, and hopefully you're not too disappointed by me stealing Beyond the Boundary.
Oh, good one. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Gosh, I want to rewatch that one.
Me too.
Oh, like every time we mention it in our conversations, I'm like, man, I need to rewatch that one. That's so good.
So good. I know I've mentioned it before. Like, it has one of my favorite anime openings as well, when we talked about our favorite anime openings and endings. I think I put it on both of my lists, actually. But Beyond the Boundary follows... It's interesting, because it's a romance, but it's also kind of a shonen almost.
Yeah, because there's a lot of battles happening, so it kind of feels shonen. It
feels shonen because you have this girl who is, like, basically a demon hunter with a special ability to use her blood as a weapon. And again, both of those things are not new to anime.
Right. But let's be clear, there's no like I'm gonna fight to get stronger mentality.
Yeah.
It's more like I'm just surviving here.
Yes. And then of course I won't spoil anything. But yeah, she's fighting demons. She crosses paths with this guy, and they end up in the same high school, and I really love how their relationship is not friends at first. Like, they're basically kind of rivals at first, and I like that it kind of turns into, like, as they start to understand each other, as they start to learn about each other, that's what makes this show phenomenal for me, is that shift throughout the series. Like, it gets to a point where it shifts and you finally understand the perspectives and where they're coming from, and the pieces come into place, and you're just like, oh, like, and the characters have this oh moment too, of just like, this is what your life is actually like this is how you're experiencing the world. And like, for them to get to a point where they are much more open with each other, and like it's just really beautiful, and I love that so much. Plus the animation is really good, and the fight scenes beautiful. Are great.
Yeah, it's a beautiful anime.
It's beautiful. So I just had to add it to the list. I really like their romance story within this action and this drama.
Yes. Oh, good choice.
Thank you.
I'm really debating between two right now.
Oh no.
I think I have to go with this one because one, I've probably watched it 4 times through at least, and it just has a special place in my heart. My 5th choice is Maid Sama. I love this anime, guys. I don't know if you knew that. But this is one of those animes. It's a rom-com, so it's hilarious, of course. But yeah, I have watched it many times. It was one of my kind of first animes. And I just love the development of the characters over the series of this rom-com. There's a ton of humor, so I'm constantly laughing out loud as we have this young girl who is the high school president at a school that used to be all boys, but now it is co-ed, and so there's not a ton of girls in, so she's kind of trying to stand up for them. But she also works a part-time job as a maid in a cafe because her family is pretty poor, so trying to make ends meet. And so she obviously is an overachiever and exhausts herself in a million different ways. But along the way, the most popular guy in school happens to only have eyes for her. Not romantically at first, he's just more curious about who she is as a person. But they end up like hanging out all the time, and their different friends will collect together on different little random like jobs and tasks or the beach day or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So you see a lot of stereotypes in here, but I like how these two characters change each other for the better. For example, like the main character specifically, she is a very strong, like, well, pretty BA character, but she's intense and goes overboard in her anger towards people. So he kind of mellows her out and helps her to realize that she can open up to others. So it's just honestly freaking hilarious. So if you need a good laugh, that's the show for you.
Yes, Maid Sama is hilarious. I actually didn't have it on my list.
Well, that's a shame. But it's okay.
It is an excellent one.
I have some on my list that I don't think are going to be on your list. So
okay, great. I have some as well. Okay. All right. So I need to make sure I steal this one just in case you wanted to take it.
Oh no.
And that's Kaguya-sama Love is War.
Dang it.
Before we started recording, we were even talking about it, and Kaguya-sama Love is War is another rom-com. And it's about the president and vice president of the student council at this high school. And they both have huge crushes on each other, but neither one wants to admit it. And when I say they are resisting, confessing, I mean, they would probably rather die.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like, they refuse to admit their feelings for each other because they both believe that the first one to confess loses, basically.
Yes, they are weak, right?
Yes. So the entire series is them coming up with absurd and growingly ridiculous ways to get the other person to confess how they feel.
Yeah, they are going to ends meet. Like, they are trying, all the different plans that, why would you even think of that? I don't know. But the whole time you're just like, idiots. Why?
My favorite kind of idiot.
Exactly.
And then you get to know the other people in the student council, these other characters, and it just becomes this little family of the student council. And it's so fun. It's absolutely ridiculous. And this is another series that actually completes and has a super satisfying ending. So, no spoilers here, but like, it is a great wild ride. It's just so fun. I look forward to every episode as it came out, and now I'm excited to rewatch it in its entirety. It's just I had to include it. Their love is war, so yes. I had to have it on the list.
The mental battles that they have are so intense. I'm like, what is happening? But that's why I love it. Honestly, if you're looking for a good laugh, it's hilarious. If you're watching it with subs, which is amazing, it goes by so fast. You have to read pretty fast because you're like, and now I'm going to do this, and maybe he will think this if I do this. And it's like, oh my gosh, calm down.
It's very fast, quick humor.
Yes.
And there's also a narrator who narrates a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot to read if you're reading the subs.
Totally.
I mean, the subs are great. So that's a good warning, honestly. But yeah, Kaguya-sama, Love is War. Had to have it.
You know, I actually had this one twice on my list. Oops.
You thought of it twice.
Yikes. Okay. Number 6. Horimiya.
Yes, girl.
Yep. This has had such a dear place in my heart. I remember when it was coming out. And to be honest, I don't even remember like how I learned about the show. I think I just saw it on Hulu one day.
Did I recommend it?
I don't know.
Or did you recommend it to me?
No, I'm pretty sure I recommended it to you.
I think you did, yeah.
Yeah, but I think I just saw it one day, started, and then realized it was just coming out. So, just the nostalgia of like watching it come out each week, you know. But it's just such a sweet, simple romance. You've got 2 high schoolers who are one person in school, but have kind of different identities outside of school. Not that they're completely different people, but they just take on different roles. So this super popular girl who's pretty charismatic is like cleaning and cooking at home for her family. The young man, he's really shy at school, doesn't say much, kind of wears his hair down to cover his face. And then outside of school, like he's got his hair up, he's a little more open, and you find out he's got like all these piercings and tattoos all over his body that he's been covering up, and is a little bit more of a rebel than you think. So anyway, it's just really interesting to see these 2 personalities who normally wouldn't like put themselves in the same circle, but circumstances did. And through them getting to know one another, their friends also connect and grow together. And it's just a really sweet and really simple romance, but it's so cute and like just, it's also very satisfying, right? We get some things in anime that we don't always get, like a kiss or something, and it's just a very, very sweet story.
Horimiya does what a lot of romance anime don't do, in the fact that this isn't a story about 2 people getting together. It's about 2 people who are together getting to know one another. Yes,
because they get together pretty like soon.
Mm-hmm.
It's like episode 3 or 4, honestly.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the anime is just them figuring out what dating looks like. And
yes.
I'm like, yeah, we never see this side. We always see, oh, they finally got together.
Right.
But now what? Like, what does life look like?
Exactly. It's like an actual romance anime that doesn't end with them like being a couple. It just begins that way. Mm-hmm. And we actually get to see like the after story basically of like, yeah, 2 people trying to get to know each other and understand each other and to like figure out how they work in a relationship. And mm-hmm. it's really sweet and wholesome and beautiful.
Yeah. And you've got all the comedic moments too of like, what does she think about this? Or what do like just where they've been gone for so long? What could, like, you know, just like all these like questioning things of like what could it be, and like the navigating of a relationship.
Exactly.
So sweet.
It's so good. And just like with Snow White with her red hair as well, I'll say like I do think this is a really healthy example of a relationship. So excellent choice.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm actually like skipping a couple on my list because I want to make sure I grab a few that might be on yours. And so I want to take Komi Can't Communicate.
Oh man, that was on my top 10.
Yes.
So good.
So good. We're on a like rom-com roll here. And Komi Can't Communicate. Oh my goodness. It makes me so happy just thinking about it. It follows Comey, who has social anxiety and has a hard time talking to people. As the title suggests, she cannot communicate. And Tadano is just an ordinary kid who notices this about her and is kind of one of the first people to actually reach out to her and be like, Comey, do you have a hard time like talking to people? And they just start like developing like a way to communicate and like through writing, and Tadano kind of takes it upon himself to like help Comey reach her biggest goal, which is to make 100 friends.
Oh, so sweet.
It's so sweet and wholesome. The humor is hilarious. This is one that I actually recommend watching subbed, not dubbed, because the dub overlays the narration and everything in a weird way. And there's also a lot of like visual text humor that the dubbed anime decided to not like subtitle the text, but to read the text. And so it's very confusing to listen to. It's easier to like read.
Yeah.
And that's a very long explanation for that, but I just want to make that extremely clear.
Also, the voice actor for Comey in the subbed is just so cute.
So cute. That's the other thing. It's just like, Comey is adorable. Yeah, she does all this little stuttering because she tries so hard to talk. Again, one of those like great big colorful casts of characters that you just absolutely gravitate towards and love everyone, and they become their little family, you know, and it's just so funny and humorous. It just like another just like wholesome, good for the heart rom-com.
Yeah. And with the communication, I love how by the end, like Tadano like learns to communicate with her non-verbally as well. Like he can just pick up on what she's feeling just on like her body language and everything. So it's super cute.
So cute.
Oh man.
I know, it's getting more and more difficult.
It's getting intense, folks. All right. Number 7. I have to throw in a Ghibli film in my list. So I'm going with Howl's Moving Castle.
Yes.
This was one of my first Ghibli films. I think it might have been the second one I ever saw. But it is such a romance. I mean, it's like Beauty and the Beast, but to a whole different level. You've got Sophie, who is just working in a hat shop and happens to come upon Howl's Moving Castle due to circumstances of her being turned into an old lady by a witch. So she's like, I must leave my town, I guess. But throughout the story, like she's getting to know Howl and the rest of the crew, and there's like this wizard war going on, so a very fantastical film. And in the midst of the war and the fighting happening and all the confusion and trying to figure out where Howl's heart is, they fall in love along the way. It's just such a precious story. I mean, what Ghibli film isn't? I mean, well, I take that back. What Ghibli romance film isn't?
Yeah. Good clarification.
So it's just very sweet and elegant, and you just have all the warm fuzzies inside because these characters all care for each other so well and see the best in each other, as Howl and Sophie do. What I love about this one in particular is that we have a prince who is technically the true love of Sophie, but she doesn't choose him. And so I just think that's a fun little twist as well.
Absolutely.
Hopefully that's not too much of a spoiler. But so yeah, Howl's Moving Castle. Such a delight every time.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. If you want to hear more about Howl's Moving Castle, Fanmated episode 13 is a discussion on that. I'll say, like, I thought about adding this to the list, but I didn't because when I was thinking about romances, like, yes, Sophie's and Howl's is epic and passionate, but Howl is such a baby.
That's why I love it. He's such a butt.
Oh, of course you do. that's the difference in our tastes.
I'm married to a somewhat Howl, like not in the sense that he's like big and charismatic, but you know the one scene where Howl's really upset.
Yeah.
And, I know that person. And I love him very dearly.
And we're sorry if you're listening.
It's the drama. I think it's hilarious. The drama.
Yes. And you are a Sophie who can handle it and embrace it and love it.
Oh, I love it. I love it all.
Why
I love Howl.
I love that for you.
Thank you.
In that case, to keep going with the Ghibli films, I'll add one more to my list, and that's Whisper of the Heart.
Aw, that's such a sweet one.
Whisper of the Heart is another one of just, like, my favorite Ghibli films. Because it's, again, that, like, soft, quiet, simple romance. Mm-hmm. And these are two very young people at the very beginning of their lives. It's a coming-of-age story. They're trying to figure out what their lives are going to look like. And it kind of, like, develops into the cliche, cheesy, but still wonderful, I don't know for sure what's happening in the future, but I want you in it sort of deal. And I just love that. It's fantastic. It's, like, it just, like, hits me in all the emotional heartstrings. And, like, it's also just, like, I don't know. It's just, I like the world of sitting in this film. Whisper of the Heart is just, like, it's so cute. Like, there's a whole scene where he's just playing the violin and they're, like, you know, have this little makeshift band together. And it's just, like, I don't know. It's just, the vibes are great. And I really love their sweet and innocent, like, budding romance. It's so adorable. I know it's not on everyone's favorite Ghibli film list, but for me, it's a keeper. What else you got, Emma?
I'm looking at three that are right next to each other, and I'm like, oh my god.
It's getting so difficult to choose.
Okay. Only have a few left here. So, number 8. I think I'm going to go with Kami-sama Kiss.
Nice.
I like Kami-sama Kiss a lot because, one, Tia Ballard is the main voice and I love her. But we have a character who is suddenly made the goddess of a shrine. And she has no idea what that looks like because she's a human. The person who kind of looks over, he's kind of... he's not the god of the shrine, but he's like a spirit of the shrine who hangs out there. He is very, like, privileged and arrogant and, like, has an expectation for what a keeper of the shrine should be like, and it is not a human. So he's not happy about this, that this woman is now taking care of the shrine, and so... they have a very butt heads relationship, which, how can you not love that? So their constant warring with each other is hilarious. And the main guy, he, like, his name is Tomoe, by the way. Tomoe is a fox spirit, and so, like, sometimes when he gets, like, into angry mode and his, like, ears are perked up or his tail is perked up, it's just super cute. But then the main gal, she is, like, just trying to figure out herself and her life because she's had problems at home, and she's trying to figure out what it means to be this shrine maiden, and eventually she gets to, like, discover more about Tomoe's past because he's lived a long life, and so... there's some emotional healing there, and so, like, it's just funny and cute and ridiculous, and it was one of my first romance anime, so it just really brings back a lot of memories. So, Kami-sama Kiss.
Excellent. Emma finally convinced me to watch this one, and I have to agree, it's up there. It's a fun time.
It's fun.
Okay, Emma, I have given you plenty of chances to choose this one.
Oh no.
But
I think I know what it is.
Since you haven't yet, I'm going to take the opportunity.
Is it going to be my next one? Probably.
I'm going to take Oran. I gave you so many chances.
I know.
You left it too late.
I did. Good one, go, babe.
Emma and I, our very first podcast episode together, episode number 3, is discussing Ouran High School Host Club.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, what can I say about Ouran? Like, this is a rom-com. It has to be on the list because it is about a group of high school boys who have a host club in their high school. Like, that's their extracurricular activity.
So dumb.
It's ridiculous. So you have this group of very different young men, who play the roles of these different types of guys that, all of these women, these young women would like to have tea with and spend time with and be fond over and all of these things, right? For their little host club.
Yes.
And they take their jobs very seriously.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it's business.
This is a business.
Their family's involved in everything.
Oh, man. And Ouran High School Host Club has one of the best first episodes in anime ever.
Yes.
Like, it's such a solid... It's funny throughout, but, like, there is an overarching, whole encompassing joke that doesn't land punchline until the very end, and it's incredibly satisfying.
Oh, it's so good.
And so the brief synopsis, we have our protagonist who is in this very fancy school. She accidentally stumbles upon the host club, breaks a vase on accident, and in order to repay them back, she has to join the host club and become a host member herself. And so it is humor upon humor. It feels very Shakespearean in the way that you have this girl dressing up as a boy and many different hilarious scenarios come out of that, of course. Oh, yeah. And Tamaki
our dramatic boy
is the howl of this show. That's for sure. And so there's a whole host, of course, of pun intended, of hilarious and ridiculous dramatic characters. And it's a classic. It's fantastic. I honestly don't know what else to say about it. It's one of those early, rom-com anime that has stuck with me for years, and I rewatch it several times.
I'm really mad I didn't choose that one. I was debating between that one and the one that I chose. So.
Well, I definitely was. I did not have Kami-sama Kiss on my list, so.
Oh, man. That's such a good one. Like, Ouran is just a good mix of fun and laughter and love. It's awesome. You just fall in love with all the characters.
Sorry to steal that from you.
It's fine. That's the draft, right? Okay. Number 9. I'm going to go with Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun.
Nice.
This is a more recent show that I've watched, and it is just so spunky and fun. Mm-hmm. I love a guy who's in the dark.
Yes!
I love that. It just gives me such joy. I'm a big lover of awkward people, and when people are just trying or just don't realize things, I'm just like, I love you. This is amazing. So we have this young girl who has a big crush on this guy, and they're in high school, and she gets quote unquote involved with him by helping him with his manga. So he's an artist secretly. She finds this out through a series of ways, but anyway, so she is helping him after school once in a while to work on the manga, and throughout the series you're just meeting all these different high school characters, the dramatic and the more dramatic and the silly ones, and it's just, you can't help but love every single character that comes through. But, of course, you're also shipping the whole way. And I just love the relationship between the two main leads because she's constantly, like, doing things to, like, show that she likes him. And he is writing a romance manga, so he's constantly, like, doing romantic things to see if it would be good for his writing. Like, he's like, let's go ride a double bicycle together. And the girl will be like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. But then she'll find out, like, oh, he just needed inspiration for his story. Dang it. Like, he just does not get it. And especially at the end, like, you just think for a moment, oh, maybe he sees the light, and then, So it's just so fun. Like, it's a really easy watch, and, like, it's a good laugh.
I couldn't agree more. We talk about it in depth on episode 62. But honestly, yeah, check out the first 5 minutes if you're not, like, laughing as hard as possible by then maybe not for you, but I guarantee you're going to have a smile on your face. It's hilarious. So, excellent choice.
Thank you.
Wow, this is so hard.
I know.
Because I'm starting to, like, second guess my choices.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
And there's still so many good ones I have written down. I think I would be remiss if I did not choose Yuri on Ice.
Aww.
Yuri on Ice, like, I followed that show when it came out so closely, and it was such, like, a huge impact, like, for so many people. Like, it just, like, came out of nowhere and like, became this huge show. And we talk about it in episode 103. But you have Yuri, a figure skater, who is kind of has a lull in his career. He doesn't know if he's, like, gonna make it. But he's really, really inspired by this Russian figure skater named Victor. And throughout some different circumstances, basically, Victor comes to Japan and becomes Yuri's coach. And, like, what I love about their relationship is that Yuri is this quiet guy, really, like, soft-spoken, total introvert. And Victor is a drama king.
Oh, yeah. To the max.
To the max. And I love that, like, that mix, and it's just so cute. And, like, they, like, again, it's one of those where, like, you have a couple who are making each other, like, better people by being together. Mm-hmm. And it is exploring, like, what love is and how they can also, like, love themselves, like, I feel like Yuri goes on such a journey throughout the show. So I had to include it, and I love them.
It's a good anime. And it's beautiful, like, animation-wise. Mm-hmm. Okay. Last one. Number 10. We're here already.
We're here.
And I also am second guessing like crazy. My brain's like, did we miss any? Are we going to let people down because we missed the most awesome ones?
Right.
But you know what? This is this moment, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a long time since I've seen this one. But my number 10 is Your Lie in April.
Oh, nice.
Ending on a sadder note. Your Lie in April follows two musicians, really. One who has kind of been having a lull or a break in his studies, trying to figure out his love for music, rather, has been hindered. And then we have another who just plays so freely and expressively, and he sees the way she plays and is like just inspired by her. And they create a relationship, and you eventually find out that she's got some sort of like terminal illness, so she's not living for very long. But it is so beautiful to see, once again, these two characters change each other for the better, especially for our protagonist, who's just had a lot of trauma and really difficult parentage that has kind of closed him off from how he could be experiencing life. And she really kind of opens the door to show him how beautiful like life can be and how beautiful music can be, especially since he's had trauma with that area specifically. But it is just a beautiful like bonding of the two and learning what life is all about, and you know, falling in love in the midst of it. And of course it's really sad too. But that's what makes you appreciate it more, you know?
Yeah.
So I thought I had to go with that one.
Excellent choice.
Thank
I feel
you.
like Your Lie in April is kind of like one of those staples for romance anime watchers, and even just like anime watchers in general. Like, I feel like most people who watch anime have seen Your Lie in April. And for good reason.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's beautiful. Okay, for my final choice, I think I'm actually going to bypass one I have written down as my top 10 and choose one that I don't think actually falls under the category of a romance anime. I would categorize this as a coming-of-age slice of life. But because of the romance in it, I'm going to force it into this
I
list.
think I know what's coming.
Because it is one of my all-time favorite anime, and I have to talk about it every chance I get. And it's March Comes In Like a Lion.
Knew it. Called it.
Oh, no.
It can count for now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for bending the rules for me.
You're welcome.
March Comes In Like a Lion truly is like my number 2 favorite anime of all time, coming only behind Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Because March Comes In Like a Lion just has hit me in an emotional way like no other anime has. And I've talked about it so many times, but it truly, like, for me, had such an impact. It's a story about a young man who is a professional shogi player. Shogi is a kind of variant of chess. And his whole life has poured so much into this one thing, this one talent, because it's a way he received praise. It's a way he received connection with people when he was really striving for those things. And then it becomes something that is not actually fun for him. And it's kind of this story of him, like, well, becoming an adult, becoming his own person, but also reintroducing his love for this game, because 3 sisters come into his life and they kind of like adopt him, and like start, you know, like just forming a relationship with him. And like, and Ray is the protagonist's name, and Ray is like really just kind of like a wandering stray cat, and these girls like are like, we will feed you. And that turns into like your family, you know?
Yeah.
And of course there's a romance that goes along with it. And what I love about the romance, and why I'm putting it on this list, is that this, again, I think you can see a theme, is that like I really love the romance anime that are about like the simple things and the small things. And like, this is a really, really beautiful example of that. Like, they are there for each other in their hard times, what is, you know, like their challenges, and like, and they're there to cheer each other up in like the small ways and the little things. And it starts small and just becomes this really beautiful, beautiful relationship. Another one that I read the manga because I just love them so much. I love the story. I love Ray. I identify with Ray a lot and his struggles. No spoilers, but wow. So that I had to include it. So thank you for letting me include it.
Of course. I noticed that a lot of our top picks have emotional trauma.
Hey, girl.
But it's good. It's good. It's beautiful. It's real. I love it.
Yes.
Should we recap?
I think we should. Let's give our list. So go ahead, Emma.
Yes, so for my draft, we have A Silent Voice, Fruits Basket, Violet Evergarden the Movie, Weathering with You, Maid Sama, Horimiya, Kami-sama Kiss, Howl's Moving Castle, Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun, and Your Lie in April.
And my final list is Your Name, Snow White with the Red Hair, From Up on Poppy Hill, Beyond the Boundary, Whisper of the Heart, Kaguya-sama Love is War, Komi Can't Communicate, Yuri on Ice, or on High School Host Club, and March Comes In Like a Lion.
And there you have it.
There you have it. Let us know whose list is better. Who got the
You know what
your
list
favorites?
would be better is if we merged the two together.
Oh, excellent choice. Now you have 20 excellent recommendations if you haven't seen them already.
Like us. I think, I've seen everything that you had on your list.
Yeah, I've seen everything that's on your list too.
See, this is why we did a draft, folks, instead of the top 10, because then we'd really have an issue.
I know. It was so hard. Like, I even have like 8 other anime that's on my list right now that I didn't get to talk about. But hey, we only have so much time.
Right.
You'll also notice that we have quite a few of these that we haven't done full-length episodes on. So we're going to do something very special. We are going to choose 4 of those that are on our lists that we haven't talked about on a full-length episode and put that as a poll on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/Fanimated. Everyone who's a member on Fanimated gets access to the upcoming schedules, polls like this, as well as I have dozens of bonus episodes to listen to, and I try to keep that updated regularly. And you can even like sign up for $1, vote on this poll, and then leave right away. That's totally fine. You can like unsubscribe at any time. But that, our Patreon really, really helps just keep the podcast on air. It does like cost money to keep the episodes up on our streaming platform. So thank you to everyone who's already a member. But we're going to go ahead and choose a few options, and then you can help us choose what our next topic will be. And I think we have a lot of really good options.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have until the end of February 2023 to vote on your favorite. So we'll have to choose which ones we want to up on the poll. But maybe, maybe some Horimiya.
I'd be a fan of that.
Yeah, maybe some Beyond the Boundary.
I mean, I would rewatch both of them. Yes, please.
Yes, since we can't decide, we need your help.
Exactly.
Exactly. Well, I think that was excellent.
That was so much fun. Oh, I love love. I love watching romance anime. It's such a joy, and you could just laugh and just admire the characters and be like, oh, that's so cute.
Yes, and I think we have a very good mix of the rom-coms and also the tear-jerkers.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So you and your partner get together, watch some of these titles, and enjoy your Valentine's Day.
Yeah, or you and your Galentine's Day, or your platonic friends. Like, I feel like anyone can enjoy romance anime, am I right?
Absolutely. I mean, we've watched most of these together.
That's true.
Gal pals, let's go.
Let's go.
Open up a bottle of wine, watch some romance anime together.
That sounds like the perfect night. Oh my gosh, I need one of those soon.
Yes, so we'll have to do that. So thank you very much for joining us on this very special episode. Again, check out patreon.com/Fanimated to vote for upcoming topics. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Fanimated Podcast to stay up to date with all things animated. And don't forget to leave us a rating and review telling us what we missed on our list of romance anime. Give us some recommendations, please. We're always dying for more. The music is written by Jamie Krause. The art is done by myself. You can find me on Instagram at CandorDraw. And we'll be back soon with more animation discussion. So, in the meantime, stay tuned.
And stay animated.
Welcome. My name is Kelly. This is a test. And this is Fanimated, an show podcast.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I tried.
You did. That's what matters.